Anything goes. Hope you guys having a great and exceptional day. All right, it's been a minute since I've been live. Well, it's only been a week now since I've been live on Instagram. Like I said, I love this. The one thing I love about Instagram and TikTok is that you can have these backgrounds when you can create your content and whatnot. And I think this background is cool. This is from like 3 years ago when I was at a somewhat nightclub slash bar called the Blue Martini. And I was like, I found this video came up as a memory. I was like, oh, let me use this as a background today. Anyways, so put this back. So I've been reading this book. Before I do my word of the day, let's do things a little bit different today. I've been reading this book called by 50 Cent. Curtis Jackson's his real name. Hustle Harder, Hustle Smarter. And there's so much information I didn't know about how he's become the business mogul that he is. He's much more bigger than just being a rapper. And I'm glad I had a chance to see him and meet him for a second at InvestFest. But anyways, and I will be at InvestFest. If you don't know what that is, check out InvestFest, EYL University. It's going to be down in good old Atlanta, Georgia, hot Atlanta. I know it will be hot. I know I'm at home right now because I had an AC issue. I had to get a new compressor on my AC. So it was a hot night last night. So it is what it is, adulting. So today's word of the day is Lacuna. Stands for it's a gap or missing part. If you complain that there's a major lacuna in a bake sale, the lack of brownies is probably to blame. So it's basically just something that's missing and the lack of. A lot of times what's missing in people's lives and the lack thereof is evolution, evolving, change, or willing to want to change, meaning, or even the meaning of willing to want to do something different. And whatever that may be for you, it's always being different, and evolving is different for everybody else. It's not no one single category. I like to simplify and make everything as black and white as possible. But in reality, a lot of things in life are not as simplified and black and white as possible. But certain things are. Like when it comes to investing, I don't specifically look when it comes to investing in the stock market. I don't all the time specifically look for the companies to invest in. I just look for the specific industries to invest in. So I buy the right ETFs, do my own research. I don't tell anybody else to do any research. And I see what industries are in demand. The ones I know that are in demand is ones with drones, obviously technology, space, space rocket companies, things of that nature, geomet companies, companies that of today and the companies of tomorrow. I don't need to look for a specific one. I make it easy and I simplify it. Going to the restroom, I make it easy, I simplify it. But there's certain things in life that could be complicated. But moral of the story is there's always something missing. There's always something lacking to make something better. And that's why you either evolve or you disappear. All right. So I'm reading this morning. This is one of probably my favorite parts about this book with 50 Cent. And he's talking about refusing to evolve. Now, 50 Cent, he had the rap group G Unit. They're not the same what they used to be. Tony Ayo did make a good point when he was on another podcast saying that, hey, Lloyd Banks, what's his name? Young Buck, Game, we need to squash the beef. He's like, do you know how much money we can make from a G Unit tour? He's like, look, nobody even needs to be in the same hotel room, same bus, same plane. Everybody just, only time you need to see each other is see each other on stage. He's like, the amount of money, and he's right. That Tony Ayo is 100% correct. And this is what the problem when you have beef and hate with people that could be assets to one another instead of adversaries towards one another. You know what I'm saying? But anyways. So if the whole G Unit crew would actually do one tour, just one tour only, the amount of money that they would make by seeing Lloyd Banks, 50 Cent, Tony Ayo, in the game, Young Buck, all five of them on one stage, would I would go see that show. Okay, so I'll leave it at that. But anyway, so this page talks about refusing to evolve. He says that and this is what 50 Cent said in his book. If the success of power was one of my greatest accomplishments, then one of my biggest disappointments in the unfulfilled potential is the unfulfilled potential of Lloyd Banks and Tony Ayo of G Unit. He says both powers' rise and G Unit's fall are testaments to how, and Power is a TV show that 50 Cent is the executive producer of, both are basically testaments to how growth is often the key element in any successful journey. He said, I always felt that if I had maybe done a better job teaching Banks and Diego how to evolve and change their habits, they each would be in better places in their life right now. He said instead they both stayed stuck in their mindsets, and as a result, the success that they desire has eluded them. In Banks's case, a lot of his failures to grow as an artist is connected to his emotional composition. Banks grew up in the same neighborhood as me, but was never part of it the same way. He said, while I was out hustling, I actually hustled with his father. Banks was more content staying on his porch and watching the world from there. He said, there's nothing wrong with that, but it underscores a particular aspect of personality. He says, Banks wanted things to come to him as opposed to going out and getting them for himself. Now, before I go there, that's the problem with people staying in their neighborhood too long. That's the problem with people staying in their hometown and state too long. Okay? That's the problem with being around the same people too long. And I'm not acting like I'm better than Lloyd Banks, because Lloyd Banks has made more money than me and has more success than I've had. But what I will say, as far as from an economic standpoint, but what I will say is that if you don't have a desire to go out there and get it, and that's why 50 Cent is, love him or hate him, it is what it is. If you don't have a desire to go out there and get things, then you won't get it. Things are not supposed to come to you, no matter who you are. You're supposed to go to it. That's just the way that the game goes, the name of the game. Okay? You're supposed to go to it. Things aren't supposed to come to you. Okay? So that's just how the game goes. And then the thing is, who do you have around you? The thing is, 50 Cent, once again, he said we grew up in the same neighborhood. But I was always willing to leave my neighborhood and go out there and evolve and do other things. I knew that there was a world outside of my neighborhood and off my front porch. Okay? There's nothing wrong with going back to the place that you grew up in after you've gone out and seen the world and done something. You know, go back, give back, keep connections with the right people. Master P said it best. I gave people $100,000 million to $2 million, and they blew it and came back begging for more. So sometimes the biggest money move is what you're doing up here mentally in your mindset, not what's sitting in your bank account. All right. Anyways. So that's not me trying to assassinate his character, 50 Cent says. The guy has Lazy Lloyd tattooed on his arm. Dang. He literally wears his laziness on his sleeve. I'm sorry, that's just funny. He's always projected an unhelpful mixture of being both introverted and cocky at the same time. He says the kind of person most comfortable being a big fish in a small pond. If Banks was hanging out in the studio with a bunch of unknown MCs, he'd be very confident. He'd enjoy being the center of attention. But if I suddenly showed up, then he'd feel like he got demoted. He'd be bitter. He didn't feel like the center of attention anymore. I get it. I can take up a lot of the air.